All right, mono green Stompy. First things first, let's go over some jargon / vernacular. The question I always get from people is, what in the heck does Stompy mean? So Stompy is an old magic term. Stompy is an old magic term that generally refers to green aggressive decks that tend to play creatures that are above the curve. So cards like Steel Leaf Champion and Nullhide Ferox, these creatures that have more power than they do mana cost, that are cheaper, tend to be what Stompy refers to in decks like this. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive on into some matches and see how we feel about things. Please foil Ferox. I can do that, Geist. Who else are we missing? We're missing Pelt Collector in here, too. Alright, we'll do the Dino, too. You sent in a big donation. We'll do the full foil. Let's get it on there. Cut the line. Cut the line pays to full foil it, too. How would you characterize mono green ramp versus Stompy? So Stompy decks, strictly speaking, don't have a ton of ramp in them, although we have a little bit here. The big difference is the number of top end payoffs that you have. Do you think the 3/3 land has a place in the deck, or is the colorless mana too awkward? I think the colorless mana, especially with Steel Leaf, is probably a little too awkward. This hand needs to draw a second land, but if it draws like lands 2/3, it's really good. And if it doesn't draw lands 2/3 right away, it still has a chance to play Magic, thanks to Llanowar Elves and Paradise Druid. Do I think blue-white control can be a contender? I don't know. We played one iteration that felt okay, and we played one iteration that felt a little bit awkward. Poor Steel Leaf Champion. Bant lands. I bet we're gonna see a lot of Bant lands today. Harlan, Fier, and another player both top 8 of the Open this past weekend with a really sweet Bant deck. Arcbow, interesting. Is there ever a time where you would choose to be on the draw instead of being on the play? Yeah, if you wanted to give your opponent a handicap to have a better chance of beating you. If you decided winning was overrated and you wanted to try doing less of it. No blocks. My statement stands with Narset Cannon and thinking winning is overrated. I think it's right to do this since I drew the 1-drop rather than play the Steel Leaf Champion. Grixis Death Shadow Mirror in Modern. You know, I watched a player choose to draw in the Grixis Death Shadow Mirror on stream one time, and their opponent killed them on turn 3 when they were on the play, and I was like, this is the sweetest justice in the world. I wonder if they're playing the Bant box deck we put together. We're going to play later today. I tweeted that one out. It was really sweet. Hey, JF, thank you for the 6 months of support there. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I feel like we're probably dead here. If we hadn't stumbled, we might have been able to overpower this, but I think we're going to be too slow now. Although I guess Nullhide Ferox is a pretty big boy. But I guess because I didn't trade here or chump last turn, I'm dead in 2 in the air, which means I can't power through, right? I don't have 5 mana, so I can't play Vivien next turn. And I don't have enough creatures in my bin, so Kraul Harpooner is not good enough. I have cards in my 75 that can beat the Lyra. They just don't exist in that game currently. They have Arcbow in their deck and Lyra, so I think I probably want Crushing Canopy, huh? I don't know if this is a Thrash threat matchup. I think I'm just going to bring in the Harpooner and the Canopy and click Submit. Actually, Biogenic Ooze is probably better than Carnage Shard against a mid-range deck, because the board will come up. Where can I find the results / deck list from the SCG Tour? On SCG's website, StarCityGames.com. They're probably also up on Goldfish, or if they're not up on Goldfish yet, they will be soon. Oh, that's true. Canopy doesn't hit Arcbow. Colored artifacts. We'll remember that eventually. Maybe 3 Crushing Canopies too many then. Is there a way to see the sweet Bantek, the top 8 of that tournament? Yeah, everything we play on stream is viewer submitted deck list. So if you ever want to see something played, you can submit it using the form on my website. I think it's right to do this on 2. I want to play this on 3, and then ideally do one of these on 4 if we hit a land tier. I can also attack with this to, like, offer a trade. What's the core of the Bant lands decks you'd recommend? Well, I mean, the list that did well at the Open this past weekend is probably great. What about Naturalized Turkey Sloth? Thunk. $167 is not bad at all, considering some of the things we play on this stream on occasion. It definitely hit a good run at the end of the season. Sure, we have things that destroy artifacts, though, Turkey Sloth. I'm not quite sure what the point of your statement is. No, I'm gonna play my preferred deck at the Mythic Championship qualifier. I'm not gonna like spend a bunch of time stressing over things, but I'm not going to sell the deck list of that we'll be playing. So do I do Ghalta plus activate this, or do I Vivien shoot the bow? It's probably just to activate this plus Ghalta. Only having 1 Ghalta in this deck is probably a mistake. This card's so busted in these green mirrors. At the very least, I think only having 1 Ghalta in the 75 is probably wrong. Ghalta is notably not very good against Esper or Nexus, so I could see playing less of them, but like, I think this card is very key against decks like Bant and Gruul. What's my preferred deck right now? I think Blue-Black Kefnet, but I've also really been liking the Sultai Flash deck that I might be playing later today. I don't think I'm beating the card Time Wipe Aether Vial, so I'm not gonna play around it. Don't play around things you can't beat. Is Attack with All lethal? I don't think Attack with All is quite lethal yet. The green-red Sarkhan deck isn't a deck that has a lot of... Isn't a deck that offers a lot of player agency. It's the type of deck where you just say, these are my things, I hope my things are good enough to kill you. And while those decks are often very powerful in the format, I think I'd rather... I personally prefer to play decks in tournaments that give me more control over my own destiny, so to speak. That make for more individual decisions on my part.
Not again.
if they don't have a time wipe, this game is very over. And even if they do have a time wipe, Vivien might pull us through. Biogenic Ooze also very good in these board stall matchups. So, like, from that perspective, maybe from the perspective of Biogenic Ooze, I don't need more Ghaltas, just because, like, Ooze is similarly good, and it's also an individually powerful card. I can see that. Maybe I just want this Vivien to, like, bury them in cards. I could see that. Thrash Threat could also just be okay here. Like, killing their random stuff. Like, I do need to kill Lyra when they play it. Let's board an A Thrash Threat. Is Pelt Collector good enough on the draw, or do I want to fully pull up? I wonder if I just want to fully pull up. I think on the draw, I'm going to pull up. Let's give this a try. I'm 25 today, so let's put 2,500 bits towards Abzan Reanimator. Happy birthday, Beetle. And thanks for the support. I appreciate it. I could see that being okay halfway. Just like boarding or playing red sources too. That's one of the questions I have about this list in general is there a meaningful reason to stay mono green? Is one of the questions I would want to ask myself. Like, is there a reason not to have at least a small splash for black, red, or blue cards? There was actually a blue-green Stompy deck that top 64'd the open, I believe. Because I have this Ghalta in my hand, I am not going to offer this trade. I'd prefer to keep my power and toughness in play. So this is going up, I'd imagine.
If I must.
Yep. Alright, so I have this Nullhide Ferox. I'm gonna attack here. So I need to pressure this Planeswalker. It sucks to lose a little bit of power, but I think I need to take the Planeswalker off the table. Yeah, Dan, man, that's the one I had mentioned. I mentioned a second ago. All right, so this like reeks of Frilled Mystic, right? Do I just pass here rather than play into Frilled Mystic? Now I'm gonna play the Harpooner. And if they Frilled Mystic this, I'll play Arcbow. Perfect. Oh, I'm so dumb. It's fine. It's fine. I know how my cards work. I've played Magic before. I guess this is bad too. Because now I can't Primal. Getting Frilled Mystic burned on 2-drops feels good though. Paradise Druid is there for an additional threat. That's why Paradise Druid is there.
Do you see the benefits of peace?
Obviously, I played this pre-combat, so that way I would, because I was expecting to lose my Ferox inside of combat there. Tension, sure. I'd really like to draw a land so we can get Ooze and Vivien going here.
With me.
Brutal. How did Elves go? 3 and 2. That's rude. I guess this is a reason to not bring the bows in. We did see that card. Yeah.
Now do you see the benefits of peace?
I think I want to play this out, just get it ticking up ASAP. If I play out the Vivien Reid here, I don't really have a good position to defend it. That's unfortunate. That's a good land drop draw. I think this card is really good in general.
Now do you see the benefits?
I think we likely stumbled a little bit too long this game. I don't know that we're going to be able to get back in this. They have another removal spell next turn. We're going to be in a lot of trouble. So they're going to be able to pressure our Vivien off the table. Yeah, I've got the Bant box deck that I've got in the queue for later today. Has 2 copies of this card in it.
Light shall always conquer darkness.
I think I just want to trade off aggressively here. We're hoping to draw a Thrash Threat next turn. So that way I could have this kill this.
Meet my newest friend.
So if I take the land here, I can go Ferox Steel Leaf Champion, which I think is appealing. Having a 6/6 in play this turn is good, as opposed to just 5/4s. If I can stall the board out a little bit, this is also better against Steel Leaf, against another Deputy of Detention. If I can stall the board for a little bit, Vivien Reid gets to ultimate. Yep. It's a sweet wolf token.
Now do you see
They're gonna get to
benefits
downtick this next turn.
of peace?
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get to Viv though, because they get to down. They'll probably cash this in on a downtick next turn, and then have good aggressive position to be in.
Come to me.
Oh, he plays well with Mobilized District. That's a really sweet observation. I guess the fact that he has triple colored in his mana doesn't really play well with Mobilized District though. So I think I just Steel Leaf Champion here. So double steel is really bad against Deputy, but like pretty good otherwise. And like if they have Deputy, I'm not ulting this regardless. So yeah, I think I just put all my chips into the center of the table here. I could like pay 2 for Ferox, play Vivien, and then like flash in a single Steel Leaf Champion next turn. But that means this Vivien is pretty likely to die. I think that's not quite ideal. I mean, I talked about Time Wipe last. I don't actually think we're in that bad. I think Time Wipe is pretty good for us here. Because I have Vivien Reid. Like, I think we could beat a Time Wipe. That's true. If they downtick and hit with everything, I get Ghalta back. And if they don't downtick and hit with everything, I get to ultimate my Vivien. So, I feel like I'm in a decent spot here regardless. So long as they don't have Deputy of Detention.
With me.
So if they attack with everything, I go this eats this. Then like trade. I would like my Ghalta back, please.
Okay, so you've got claws.
Alright, so they are in a really bad spot.
Every fight makes me stronger. Strike now. Strike hard. I always survive. You'll see.
I do have reach on the uptick. I think I'd rather just get a creature, though. Alright, so we're in a super commanding position now. I do like the kind of like go a little bit bigger plan that this deck has. Between the Viviens and the main and these extra Viviens we have on the board as well. Raul, I mentioned your name. Thanks for the 26 months. Been a crappy month. Well, I'm glad to have you here. Welcome back. Thought I mentioned it. Maybe I missed it. I'm sorry either way.
No one knows.
Thanks for keeping me around. Ooh, that's a good one. Do 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 do. Growth Chamber Guardian did have Flash. Vivien, Champion of the Wild, is a flashy planeswalker. Love tap, baby, love tap, baby, love tap, baby, love tap. Love tap, baby. Yeah, we have one Ghalta in our 75. Which, again, I don't think is strictly incorrect. Just because Biogenic Ooze is similarly good in these green ground poundy type games.
The wilds are my shield.
I think I'm okay trading this for a bunch of 4/4s here. Are they dead on board? They block. They go, they put 10 in front of here. They take, yeah, they're just dead, right? Right? The most they can block is block here, put 8 in front of here, and they take 4, 13. Yeah. This jumps here, this jumps here, these two jump here. 4, yeah. I think they were north of 30 at one point, because their Johnny gained them a bunch of life. There's 34, that sounds right. Smack him around a little bit. Hey, Aramus V, thank you for the 3 months. I appreciate the quarter of a year. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Yeah, that sounds great. One, two, three. It's just Smash-a-mentry. What could it be? Where did I get a desk like this? The internet. You Google search standing desks. There's a variety of different companies that make them. I would explicitly not recommend the company that I have. I have an Uplift desk, and their components are kind of cheap, and the electronics are starting to go out. That's why you'll notice I'll press my hotkey to have it go up, and then I'll have to fight with it to get it to the right height. My desk is like not even a year and a half old. Okay, well, I'm glad we've got an aggressive draw here on the play. The fact that this is a 2-1 is actually pretty good for us here, because it means I can't trade with my Pelt Collector. Nullhide Ferox was like arguably the best draw in our deck there. Lets us continue to just curve out in a nice smashy way. Looking to dodge Hostage Taker here, but even then, like, we're in a pretty decent spot. I've not Funk Warder. Sounds like a lot of moving pieces, though. And both of these, again, them hitting lands is, like, good for us, because it means they can't block the Steel Leaf Champion. So they're going to trade Wild Growth Walker for this Pelt Collector, which is not unreasonable given the state of my board. They have a Jadelight Ranger. If they have a Jadelight Ranger, they probably shouldn't be blocking. Because Jadelight makes this thing huge next turn. I might not be able to beat a Jadelight Ranger. Do you know what the May season rewards are yet? Yeah, it's Incubation Druid and something else, I believe. The old chump block for one. Fair. I don't really think the decisions they make matter if they have a Jadelight Ranger. These aggro decks basically just never beat the Wild Growth Walker package. Oh, they have Find. That's brutal. How much to put Abzan Reanimator into today's queue? Usually I look for a $50 donation to cut a deck into the existing day's stream lineup. I'm just dead, right? They have Hostage Taker in this. Sultai tends to decimate these, what I would refer to as mid-range aggro decks, because you just can't get underneath the Sultai deck. It's really awkward that this is an artifact in the face of Hostage Taker. I think I want to just pull up here. I don't think I can realistically get under them. Yeah, I'm like, that game is so telling when it comes to, like, not being able to win that matchup, right? Because, like, we arguably had one of our best possible starts there, and it was just, like, nowhere near good enough. Incubation Druid and Terramander. What would you recommend to someone do in order to reach Mythic with relative ease? I've been trying for the past few seasons, but they're gotten trapped in gold. One of the things I like to instill in people, because this is definitely you know, something people kind of come to expect. There aren't really, like, get-rich-quick schemes for getting better at Magic. This game has a lot going on, and there's a lot of different things that you have to learn to get better at the game as you go. And there isn't really with this one quick trick, you'll be Mythic and the pro players will hate you for it. Like, there just really isn't a substitute for, like, experience and slowly getting better at the game with practice. What do you mean by pull up and get under them? So, aggro decks are what we refer to getting under the opponent. So, a deck that gets under the opponent tries to win the game before your opponent is able to execute their game plan. Pulling up refers to taking my deck and making it have more expensive cards in it, so that way I can kind of go toe-to-toe with the mid-range elements that my opponent's deck is looking to execute. That being said, for people who are looking to get better at Magic, being here and watching streams like this one is one of the many things you can do to get better at the game. Eat, sleep, and breathe Magic content. Do they have the combo? Whoa, they don't have an Explore creature. Hey, Kefnet has a place in blue-white control. What problem does blue-white control have that is solved by playing the card Kefnet? So the reason why I didn't activate this in response to them blocking to try and beat this up is because I didn't want them to use a removal spell on this to get me to spend my mana for the turn. Yeah, I'm not sure that we're really going to be able to fight through this here. I guess I can attack with this. Yeah, I was playing around a piece of 2 mana spell removal. If I'd have hit this last turn, or even this turn, we might have had a shot here. I think we're probably just a little bit too far behind at this point. Because this can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less, they can't double block with the Branchwalkers here, which is at least a small positive for us. We talked earlier about, is it worth staying mono green in this deck? Or should we be working towards having some type of splash color? That's aggressive. And white cards could potentially help this Sultai matchup. Ritual of Soot. Alright, we did. That being said, I don't think we're ever beating. I don't think we're ever beating that one. This hand's a little bit speculative on the draw, but again, I've got 2 mana creatures. If we hit a second land on time, the hand's very good, and even if we don't, we still get to play Magic. Do we just queue into the same... Is this the same person we just played against? Did anybody catch what the last username was? I'm actually just gonna concede this matchup and play another one. I think this matchup is close to impossible for this archetype, and I don't want to play it. Spend here flailing against it twice in a row. I want to get a little variety in. One of the things that is interesting about how metagames work is that because mono red and those Bant mid-range decks just had a good weekend at SCG, one of the things people might do to adapt to beating those decks is going back to playing things like Sultai, because Sultai has a good matchup against 2 of the archetypes that did really well at that last tournament. Oh, Magic. Great. Get to play at least. No, I don't really find traditional Sultai a very compelling archetype to play. I find it kind of dry. I'm sure good green planeswalkers are just good inside of Sultai. So I'd believe you that she's good there. Not really, Goofy. In terms of results, if you look at it, basically everything that was there, the Bant decks that did well were kind of like fringe archetypes going into it, but other than that, everything else was pretty well known. Yeah, Nissa's Triumph's not really what I would consider to be a constructed playable card most of the time. We're not really looking to, like, take off one of the early turns in our deck to, like, just hit land drops. A lot of the time, generally speaking, if you want to invest 2 mana in the early game in a green deck, you'd much rather be playing something like Paradise Druid or Llanowar Elves or Incubation Druid that's actually going to get you ahead on mana and allow you to play ahead of your curve. How do I ever beat a 3/4? The jury is still out, but I'm uncertain if I can beat a 3/4. Thief of Sanity is also giving us the business in the air. Maybe we can put all of our chips in this Carnage Tyrant basket, and that can pull us through.
To move quickly.
Yeah, I do get to attack with Pelt Collector next turn at least. Thrashing Brontodon looking quite embarrassing though. Do you have a Tyrant scoring? Yep. So, I think saying Stompy decks have 0 decision points is an unfair assessment of them. I think a more apt description is they tend to lack player agency inside of the actual gameplay. A lot of the decisions you make with these decks are with the cards you choose to put in your deck and the decisions you make with the hands you keep and during sideboarding. Alright, Carnage Tyrant not going to do it. Got it. Hey, Big County, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Good to hear. And again, like, and this is my experience with decks close to this a lot, is I feel like we're just not aggressive enough to, like, punch through what the opponents like, removal and Bellhaunts and stuff like that. I just need to, like, take my deck and pull up in these post-board games and be bigger. That wasn't good enough against Sultai. Let's see if it could potentially be good enough here. Need 1 Shrim. I think after this, I'm going to go ahead and try, for the second half of the hour with this deck, try splashing a color. Because I'm not sure there's really a compelling reason to stay in mono green when we have, like, decent mana in this format. There was a blue-green Stompy deck that did well at the SCG event this past weekend. That I think is a reasonable direction to take this archetype in. I don't think that's really strictly true, Pelly. So, in my opinion and experience, Stompy decks, so like aggro decks like Mono Red tend to have a lot of sequencing decisions because they have a lot of cheap spells in them. But decks like this, where you're trying to go like 3, 4, 5 a lot of the time, these decks tend to just be play on curve decks. The correct answer almost every turn is play your most expensive spell. I would like to address something that people are talking about in chat right now, which is you don't splash double-colored spells. So people are suggesting we splash Oketra, and you can't really do that. I would encourage you to read this article from Frank Karsten that talks about mana math and look at the number of white sources we would need to include in our deck to consistently cast Oketra on curve. I think it's more than you would think it is if you are thinking we can splash it. So again, but here's the problem. And again, people are talking about changes that we can make that can maybe help the deck. But once you move into, okay, we're adding top end to be more resilient, are we really a Stompy deck at that point, right? At that point, we don't want this aggressive slant with like Pelt Collectors. We want to take the deck and pull up and be bigger. And I agree with the assessment that pulling up and being bigger is better on average, but that's a fundamentally different deck and archetype at that point, in my opinion. Hey, are you critting me? Thank you for the 3-month resub and the compliment. Welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic start to your week. Steel Leaf Champion, notably unblockable in the face of hero. Too bad it's going to be a Tyrant and get scorned. Hopefully we hit a Forest and play Biogenic Ooze next turn. And like, we have our big dumb beater in Nullhide Ferox, but it just doesn't do anything in the face of this hero, the Precinct 1, right? Which, one of the things, I think the build I would like to try of this deck is a blue splash that actually splashes blue for Departed Deckhand, which seems incredibly sweet. And again, I think a lot of the cards people are talking about in chat are reasonable cards and they're okay directions to build decks in, but I also think at that point they're fundamentally different than the deck that we're currently playing. I think they're different enough to be considered different decks. What do they have that punishes this block? Oh, they have the -5/-5 card. All right, fair. That was not one that was on my radar. I think I'm just activating Arcbow. Hey, what's going on, Mox Mulder? Thank you for the 2-month resub. Of course you can get a timeout. They're reading Arcbow pause here. When you're calculating mana math, how do you calculate Paradise Druid? Ideally, you do the math without Paradise Druid, but in a pinch, it can count. The problem with it is Paradise Druid is susceptible to dying. Hey, awesome, like. Yeah, they're definitely A+ background music. It's like pleasant stuff that doesn't distract you from what you're doing. Instrumental stuff is great. Frequently listen to instrumental stuff during my exercise routine, and they've become run by regulars. We did have a line cut for Stompy this morning, Time Lord. Yeah, we got a good lineup today for sure. I think Obnix's Cruelty is great. A lot of the blue-black decks I've been playing have at least 2 in the 75. I think having a card that's cheaper than Vraska's Contempt that exiles Rekindling Phoenix is extremely valuable in a lot of situations. I think I'm going to play this land and just gamble on the Arcbow. So, Chatmaster, if you look at the Mana Math article that I keep constantly linking in chat, I'm wrong, it recommends 23. Close enough. The other part of the mana math too that you need to understand is that those are probabilistic representation. So if you are okay casting your spells on curve less amount of the time, it's also okay to include those things. Like, sometimes you put a card in your deck that you're not 90% to cast on curve, but you're 90% to cast it the turn or two after, and that's also okay. That's a fine position to be in. We're just, like, super flippin' dead. Yeah. Yeah, this list feels rough. And let's talk about why it's rough, and then let's take a peek at something that might be a little bit better for a couple of matches. I feel like this deck explicitly, I feel like this archetype suffers from a key issue in that these mid-range style aggressive decks, they're not fast enough to get under the other mid-range decks in the format, like Sultai and Esper Hero. And I feel like these decks also don't have enough card advantage at the top end to, like, grind with them and go toe-to-toe in the mid to late game. I think decks like this are potentially fine against things like mono blue, mono red, and white aggro because you're a little bit bigger than those decks. But I don't think those decks are popular enough in the format to make this, as constructed, a very reasonable choice. Does the Dragon Claw ship outside of US? I have no idea offhand. You'd have to look at their website. We've got a good variety of stuff. We actually played against Sultai twice so far this morning. Alright, so this is... I mean, I'm sure when you go to checkout, Time Lord, there's shipping options. Sorry if they don't list it front and center, but I don't have that information offhand. What percent do you shoot for on curve that you consider acceptable? It depends on the deck. It depends on what the spell is. It depends on what the spell is doing. There aren't hard and fast answers to these questions that you just say, you meet this metric and you're good. Like that is what makes Magic such a complicated game that has so much going on in it, is because a lot of this is, it depends, or it's varied, and you need to use experience and practice with the deck to really know what the correct answers are. So this deck has a little bit of evasion. So one of the reasons why the other build suffers against mid-range decks is it can't beat a board stall even with its bigger creatures. So Departed Deckhand helps you with evasion. Cards like Spell Pierce and Frilled Mystic help you tempo out decks that are trying to go over the top of you. And then this deck is still full of big creatures, which gives it reasonable game against the aggro decks like the other builds. So let's play a couple of matches with this and see how it feels here. What does Red-Green Sarkhan suffer from the same issue as Stompy? What makes it different? The extra color cards, Brute Z. Having access to red cards is a big deal. The big thing the red-green deck gets to do is similar to this one. You'll notice I just mentioned Departed Deckhand as a way to break board stall. So the green-red deck gets to play Rekindling Phoenix and Sarkhan as ways to beat board stalls. The green-red deck also gets to play removal spells like Lava Coil and Lightning Strike, and even Domri to a degree, to allow it to punch through key cards like Hero of the Precinct 1 and Deputy of Detention, these other things that give the mono-green deck huge fits. So I agree with you, Nivik, that holding up Frilled Mystic in a deck like this is often telegraphed. The part where I think our opinions are going to deviate here is you're saying it like telegraphing you of a Frilled Mystic is a bad thing. These aggro decks that are lower to the ground, one of the things that they do well is the fact that you can put your opponent in a position where you pass holding up Frilled Mystic, but you have so much stuff on board, they have to play into it, because if they don't play into it, you're just going to kill them with the stuff you already have in play. There might be merit to playing Departed Deckhand on 2 here, or this turn, and then playing this next turn because the Pelt Collector's bigger. But I have like 10 power in play right now, so that's kind of appealing. Get out of my house. Yes, this is an aggressive deck that's looking to end the game quickly. And I think I actually have enough pressure in play right now that, like, so not playing these out is a little bit worse against spot removal, but it's much better against, like, Ritual Assoot or another Cry here, so. And I think they're low enough that I might be able to beat this Ritual Assoot. No guarantee here. I definitely think we're in a bad spot at the moment, but I think holding these back gives us a chance here. That's really unfortunate. So this makes this unblockable next turn, so if they don't have a removal spell here or a way to gain life, we have them dead. That being said, they have 4 cards in their hands here, so. I have no idea, Mox Mulder. There's a lot of nuance to questions like that. That generally require having first-hand experience to know the answer to. And there's more to it than that too, right? Like, there's a lot more than just the mirror. Like, if you look at, like, the results of the open top 8, for example, 2 decks that have good matchups against blue-green decks did well in the tournament. So a lot of the times, Magic formats end up being cyclical in nature. So people were gunning for Nexus, so these other decks showed up and did well. Now people will want to beat those decks, which gives Nexus some breathing room. So there's a little bit of, like, chasing your tail week to week on what ends up being the best deck to be playing. Why not attack all? Because I don't... Well, for one, it's awful against a removal spell. And 2, even if they don't have a removal spell, I'm trading my 3/3 Pelt Collector for 2 points of damage with an attack all, which doesn't seem particularly appealing, right? My opponent's still dead on board the following turn regardless, so rather than leave myself open to get blown out by a removal spell for the cost of, like, hitting for not lethal, it doesn't seem worthwhile. Wonder if we're going to see them dispersal me here, or if they just have a counterspell / removal spell to hold up. Right now, this is card for card, a top 64 deck list from the open. We had someone submit a mono green Stompy deck to be played, and we played a few matches with that to start. And it felt really awkward, and we talked about why it was awkward, and we've changed to playing this for the second half of their donation. Well, the 2/2 Spirit selection is, I can explain that card. So this card's great. This is a card, one of the issues that these Stompy decks have is that there's a lot of board stall matches in this format, and this card breaks board stalls. It makes it so it's always unblockable, and it lets another large creature like Nullhide Ferox slip past being unblockable as well. Mr. Hello, thank you for the 14 months. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. He is bedecked. I do have 5 mana spells in my deck, so I should play this out.
Hone your prowess.
I think this one's run away from us here. We were gonna beat the turn 3 Cry of the Canarium, but Cry into Soot was a little bit too much. We didn't have another counter spell. Narset is very, very good. Super powerful. Alright. And Ghalta tends to be leave a bit to be desired against the removal heavy decks. Kind of same thing with this too. I don't know that I want Negate and Stroke in this matchup. I guess this isn't really a board stall matchup, so maybe Departed Deckhand comes out. I could see that. They don't have a ton of blockers here. Let's try this. This also gets swept away by Cry. So maybe I want to leave this in. This is a little bit bigger card. Which having cards that are survive Cry is nice. We are currently playing Sleeveless, that's true. Simic Guildgate's a Temple of Tilts here, but this hand's definitely in the range of keepable, so let's go. This card should be really good against control. Hopefully. Branchwalker will help us find our 3rd land to play this on curve. No, I don't really have time to get into any podcast type things.
The wild wasn't meant to be contained. Let me show you what was lost.
Now, I can play things at instant speed thanks to Vivien's text, but wow, that's interesting. If I'm gonna miss my land drop this turn, though, I want to just play this now so I can try and hit it.
You fight like a city brat.
What's my favorite subject discipline in mathematics? Probably network analysis. Calculus is a close second, though. I have a standing desk, so I split my time while streaming, standing and sitting about 50-50. I know I could play Kraul Harpooner at instant speed here, but I think it's valuable
Things begin
to
and
do
end.
it right now, because if my opponent kills the Growth Chamber, the Kraul Harpooner in response to the fight, it doesn't get to fight. Let's try and find some lands here so I don't have to discard this Frilled Mystic. That's really unfortunate.
The mysteries of life are endless.
This gives this reach and vigilance, so they have to have a removal spell for this to kill Vivien. Although, you could maybe make the argument that I should just down tick her, because I could find a Kraul Harpooner, of which I have 3 more in my deck. Because now if they have removal spell, they get to kill this and this, and I'm kind of on empty other than this. With Pelt Collectors and Explore Creatures, do you think Roll Slick would have a spot at the top end? And spot removal. Like, Roll Slick instead of what? Oh, they're gonna get to kill my Vivien, but I'm gonna get to kill their Nick, so I've got that going for me. If they're greedy and plus here, we're in a really good spot.
Is a new beginning.
Much like Teferi, I think we're just supposed to kill this. I don't want to like I could put them to dead on board, but then if they have removal spells, I end up pretty sad, so I think I want to just kill their Planeswalker guaranteed here. El Douglitus, thank you for the 4-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Time flows by like if Teferi was involved. It's going on. Thanks for 11 months. If they have 2 removal spells here. Oh, that's just a 4/4 deal. Now I'm really glad I didn't just try and kill them, because they would have not died with Enter the God-Eternals and they'd still have a Nick. Yeah, but they're pretty likely to have a removal spell to deal with at least one of my things. So I think saying they're dead on board is like not super accurate. There are no arc bows in the 75. They double bend there. That's exciting for us. A second enter the God Pharaohs or enter the God Eternals would be pretty dead, because that would make this an 8/8. It's gone on forklift. I'm swell. Life is great. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and play this out here, because if they draw Nicol Bolas, I'm not going to be able to keep this in my hand anyway, because it'll get discarded, and this puts 3 lethal threats into play. Casual 16-2, your move. Did you use gem or gold to upgrade all those cards, or was it freebies? Well, I mean, you have to use gems. A lot of the upgrades we've done are people specifically cheering bits or stuff for me to upgrade cards. I think I'm just clicking submit. Yeah, Zombie, and actually it is the Bant Box deck that's in the deck queue is the deck we talked about on Saturday. So depending on like if more cut the lines happen today and how long I stream for, we might get to it today. I mean, we literally have Exclusion Mage in our sideboard, Doubly Hawk. So, I guess the answer to your question is yes. I would always encourage you to link decks you would like my feedback on in the subscriber Discord in the appropriate format channel. And you can tag me in there to get my attention. But I would encourage you to make sure you tag me when I'm not streaming, because sometimes I miss going back through the queue and hitting all of the tags while I'm live, because sometimes there's other people chatting in there too. Never didn't have it. So, for the sake of fair's fair, BJ Roth, and not having people nickel and dime things up the queue a little bit, I only add new decks into today's schedule for larger donations. So that way I'm not, like, constantly tracking people adding small amounts. So, if someone wants to cut something into today, I look for a $50 donation. Obviously, to get something played tomorrow, you only need to be in one of the top decks listed in the queue, so it's much less than that. Great. The Nullhide Ferox is a great addition to our board here, because it means even if they Ritual of us, I still leave a 6/6 behind. Yeah, play Nico Bolas, please. Nico Bolas would not have a happy ending here. I assume something's dead here. But yeah, they don't have enough mana for that dead thing to be Nullhide Ferox. And like, now I've got two 6/6s, and they're playing Grixis, which means they don't have like a Kaya's Wrath real sweeper. So they should be dead here. Yeah, we've got a bit of a meme before Citadel too. We've got Esper control with Narset and emergency powers. Casminia's transformation is the makes a creature a 1/1, right? I think that card is better in mono blue sideboard than Deep Freeze, yes. And like, again, talking about like the blue splash that we're working on, it was useful in that last game, but it's worth noting in games like this blue splash is not free, right? Like, it definitely comes at a cost of some consistency. You'll notice I led on the Hinterland Harbor there as opposed to the island, and the reason why I did that was because this way if I drew a forest on 2, I could play this and this on the second turn. Would not be surprised to see Jadelight Ranger go away here. Would really love to draw a land so we can play this. Another uncastable card. Yikes. What's the best way to get cards in Arena if you are new to it? The power of the most powerful card in Magic the Gathering, the credit card, will unlock all of the cards you could ever want on Magic Arena. Really just want an untapped land here. I'm going to go ahead and make sure I play Nullhide Ferox here as opposed to the Steel Leaf Champion. And not only is it more mana efficient to do this, but this is also better in the face of Ritual of Soot because my 6/6 won't die to that sweeper. I think I'd rather play Ghalta than the second Nullhide here. And the reason for this is this, leaving this in my hand makes me insulated against 4 mana Grixis Bolas. Personal favorite decks in this format right now. Sultai Flash and Blue-Black Kefnet have been my 2 personal favorites so far. You can find Blue-Black Kefnet on my website. We have not played, we've not played Sultai Flash yet. Alright, you're up to 13. I have a Ghalta and a Nullhide Ferox, so you're dead on board. Crunch. I think I sideboard just like we did last time. I'm going to cut the Departed Deckhand so they don't have a ton of blockers. I'm going to trim a God-Eternal Rhonas. I'm going to trim Brontodon was one I cut. Oh, I trimmed the Ghalta. I know Ghalta was okay there, but Ghalta tends to be not great against removal heavy decks because it is a card that requires you to have a big board presence, and if you have a big board presence, usually you're winning against these style of decks. Ooh, that's a good observation, Suskind. Exclusion Mage is potentially good if they have a lot of amass cards. And like, Enter the God Eternals is like kind of a format staple. It's also, yeah, it's also a decent tempo in the face of Kefnet. You got me. The original list I exported was missing 2 sideboard cards. I added 2 Vivien's. I'll have to update the list on the deck tracker. I thought I did. I must have missed it. So again, Gendy, I feel like I agree with your assessment of what the card does, but what does it do? What problem does that card solve for the deck that I'm playing? Why is it a worthwhile inclusion? That's what I would encourage you to think about. When you're making changes to decks, you want to be problem answer focused. My deck has this issue, and I'm fixing that issue by making this change. I mean, my answer's not fully sarcastic. Buying cards is the quickest way to get the cards you want in this application. That's just the truth. Another solid piece of advice is the fact that it's easier to get going once you have a small collection. So like buying a small number of cards to start often will go a long way for you. Lurker, turn subscriber, keep up the good work. Echo Jin, thank you for keeping me employed here. Welcome back and thanks for keeping me around. I didn't take the land on the down tick because that's not this card's text box, right? Yeah, I didn't think that was perfect. And suddenly we're in a really good spot, right? Hey, Jaeger, thanks for the 2-month resub. And Hans Hinters, thanks for the 4 months.
Revenge will be painful.
What weakness does Just Guys the Healy deck have? I don't know, Titan. We only played with like for an hour and a half. It's really, especially new decks like that when we're brewing them at the beginning of the season, it's hard to get like super informed opinions on things. Whoa! Did that just prioritize using my Unclaimed Territory? I am so impressed and kind of scared. Why are you so good to me, Magic Arena? They improved the auto-tapper logic, chat. That's exciting. It just used the Unclaimed Territory again! Holy crap! Holy crap! They did it! The mad lads, they did it! Syzygy, thank you for the 5-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome back.
All of the multiverse will bend to my will.
It wasn't even an elf, and it prioritized using the Unclaimed Territory instead of my breeding pool. That's so super exciting. Man, Shaper Sanctuaries felt real good so far. This card's drawn how many cards?
Defiance is infuriating.
Alright, so this is dead. They get a 2-2. Hey, Grimwald, thanks for the 2 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. I think I'm going to hold on to this for now. I can't attack into this anyways. If they draw like a 4-mana Nick or a Kefnet, I want to be able to ship it back into their deck. Mespira, checking in for the 3rd of a year. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Hope you are having a wonderful start to your week. Really hoping to draw like Frilled Mystic or Vivien here at this point. A way to like generate a 2-for-1 basically. Alright, I think we're dead.
Your corpse will make an excellent minion. From grave.
I don't know where I stand on Shaper Sanctuary. Like, Shaper Sanctuary was okay there, but like, the question at the end of the day that I would need to ask myself is like, was that card actually better than just having another Planeswalker would be there? Like, how would it have compared to, say, like, another 3-mana Vivien? I can't flash in my Harpooner if I don't have a thing. When the Vivien leaves play, my creatures no longer have flash. Clamster, thanks for the 4-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Alright, I'll take it. I think I just go Pelt into Llanowar Elves here. Zerblin, thank you for the 9-month resub. My hand's pretty good here, even post Thought Erasure. If they don't take this, I'm probably just holding it up. The 3rd land tapped Hinterland Harbor. Yikes. Now, one thing that's a little bit scary because I haven't drawn actual lands yet is the fact that, like, my opponent could, like, end step, kill an elf, untap, and, like, widespread plague me. That would not leave me in a fantastic spot. My clock here is a little bit slow at the moment. So, like, maybe I should leave both elves up if I don't have a land. If we draw a land here, we're actually in a pretty good spot because it means I can be attacking for 4. Sounds good, neighbor. Yeah, I always, I check submissions at the end of every stream, so you should hear back from me tonight. And I don't think I'm committing anything else to the table. I think I've got 4 power in play. They were missing land drops. I'm just going to go ahead and just leg. All right, hit you for 4, go. At some point, they'll tap out for something. We'll Frilled Mystic it, and then we'll keep hitting them. You got him. He's dead, Jim. Rather than attack for 4, you should have played Branchwalker off of Elves. It's still an attack for 4. That's worse against spot removal, though, right? And like, again, we're not really doing anything with our mana, just passing with this Frilled Mystic up, but at the same time, we've got pressure in place, so like, I'm not really worried about doing stuff with my mana at the moment. Yeah, Greengrass Rampage has not been a card I've been impressed with. Definitely much higher on Bedek Bedevil. It's probably better than our average draw. Wonder if we'll see them flashback chemisters inside here. I think I'm still okay with that. How long till the Esper deck? I don't know, probably one more match with this. They discarded an Enter the God-Eternal here, which makes sense because they're staring down a Frilled Mystic. They don't want to spend their entire turn on something and just get Mysticked and died. Yeah, my opponent's like trying to generate a double spell turn or 2 here, basically. Commence the end game. Yep. That's unfortunate. That card is aptly named. If they have Widespread Brutality plus a counterspell here, we could be in trouble. Bedek Bedazzle, yeah, that one, the split card. They're all bees. Buzz, buzz. They have a Sabotage here still, too. It's unfortunate. We're dead here at this point. And draw like our 1 copy of Vivien Reid and maybe be okay, but... Nah, I don't think so, Tom. I ended up just like not having enough pressure going and it didn't matter. How are we doing, folks? Welcome, good morning, good afternoon, good night to everybody over out in the world. Thanks for dropping in here today. My name is Jeff Logan. I'm a full-time streamer and content producer here on Twitch. I'm here playing Magic 30, 40, sometimes even 50 hours a week. If you enjoy constructed best of 3 with sideboards, it's definitely a channel for you. We play a ton of different decks, so we get a lot of variety in the channel. We change decks every 60 to 90 minutes. All the decks you see listed in my stream title are decks I plan to play today and in the order in which I plan to play them. We always stay very organized around here. Just like to take a moment to plug a couple of my sponsors here really quick. The Nerd Rage Gaming Championship Series, a $5,000 cash tournament series that happens every single month in the Midwestern United States. If you can't make it out to the Midwest to play in one of their standard, modern, or legacy tournaments, you can check out their streaming coverage as well at twitch.tv/NRG series. BCW Supplies are the only ones I trust to protect my paper Magic the Gathering cards. Using code Jeff10 at bcwsupplies.com. You can save 10% on sleeves, binders, deck box, and all sorts of other fantastic gaming accessories with them. The Dragon Claw would love to help you take your gaming on the go. If you head on over to playdkp.com, you can check out their custom magnetic game board, and using code Jeff5, you can save 5% on checkout there with them. And of course, I'd like to welcome everyone out there to Hoaglandia. There's a lot of great people making a lot of great stuff on Twitch right now, and I appreciate you dropping in to spend part of your Monday here with us. If you are new to the channel, you enjoy the decks that we play or the way I break down all my lines, be sure to hit that follow button following the stream. Doesn't cost you anything. It lets you know when I go live and with what. How did I end up with VSQ as a sponsor? They reached out to me and said, hey, we would like to sponsor your stream. One of the folks that works there actually is a sub here. Who are the faces on the Hoaglandia banner? The various people on the Hoaglandia banner are folks that have contributed large amounts of dollar dues to pay for my mortgage. Here. The faces of folks that helped me jump into doing this full-time much sooner than I would have otherwise. Alright, one more here with the blue-green iteration of Stompy. Hopefully find something that's not Grixis, get a little bit of variety in the matchups. And that, one of the things I like to instill in people is, I've often heard people talk about using things like Magic Arena or Magic Online as testing tools for paper tournaments. And while playing Magic is better than not playing Magic when it comes to testing for a tournament, overall, playing random matches against opponents whose decks you have no control over really isn't good testing, because, like, you basically have no control over what matchups you're getting, as opposed to, like, sitting down with another person and playing specific matchups can generally be much more efficient use of your time on average. Lord Spamalot, checking in with the 4th month of Twitch Prime support. Welcome back. But it likely has a combat trick of some sort available to them here. We have Spell Pierce to get them off of that. Like, they have like a Defiant Strike. They could block plus have a 4-power dork. Yet again, at the end of the day, if you are testing for a tournament, like, playing some on Arena is better than not playing at all. But if your goal is to do proper rigorous testing, I don't think Arena qualifies as proper rigorous testing for like a Grand Prix or an Open, especially from a pure time efficiency standpoint. Is there a quick and dirty way of thinking about when Spell Pierce is good to include in a deck? Yeah, so Spell Pierce differs from something like counterspell like Negate or Disdainful Stroke, and that Spell Pierce basically has a shelf life. Spell Pierce is a card that, as the game goes on for longer, it's going to be less and less valuable. So Spell Pierce is better in decks like this one that are able to close the game out with some quickness, as opposed to control decks that are looking to have the game go longer. So how would you test for a Grand Prix? The best way to formally test for a Magic tournament is to sit down with a like-minded individual and play the matchups that you care about. Learn the ins and the outs of the popular matchups that you expect to play against going into a tournament. Wow, our mana is incredibly awkward here. So I actually can't turn 2 Steel Leaf Champion at the moment. We drew Forest, thank goodness. Because if I would have played this on 1, I couldn't play this on 2. If you want a good example from myself of what I personally consider to be good testing, good formal testing, if you look way back on my YouTube channel, you will find circa 2016, 2017 videos of myself and my buddy Matt, who comes over on occasion still, doing paper testing, where we would sit down in my basement or his and play specific matchups for 5, 6, 7, 8, a dozen games sometimes. And really learn the ins and outs of those matchups that we cared about. I think we've died. They just killed our only threat and I got a bunch of lands here, so take the 3rd game on the play. I think I'm happy with how we sideboarded here. Let's draw some more spells this time through. Yeah, Yeah, you could totally do that style of testing utilizing Arena. Again, that's not good testing doesn't explicitly apply to Paper versus Arena so much as playing against random decks. One of the things you're not able to do on Arena that you would see us do if you go back and watch those old Paper testing videos is that one of the upsides, or one of the things I think you should be doing in optimal testing is, in my opinion, when I'm trying to learn a matchup and really learn how things play out, I don't care who wins the match so much as I want to understand which decks are better in which matchups. So Paper testing has the upside over something like Arena or Magic Online in that you can rewind a play that you take and talk about with your testing partner, was this a good line? Why? What would they do here? When you have a really pivotal turn, you can flip the hands face up on the table and talk about what the correct thing to do is. And that is a flexibility that you do not get on Arena, unfortunately. I don't think that's strictly true, Doogie. I think that varies a lot person to person. I think there's a lot of people who can play a lot of digital and then translate just fine to Arena regardless of trigger stuff. Our basic islands have been a bit of a challenge. Oh, this card's actually really bad in this matchup, huh? All their various cantrips just kill it. That's kind of funny. What's the average cost of getting a single competitive deck on Arena? I have no idea. The actual answer is that it varies depending on how many rares and mythics there are in a deck. Another thing you have to understand is that the way the card acquisition system on Arena works is your nth deck is cheaper than your n-1 deck. So building your 4th deck on Arena is cheaper than building your 3rd deck, etc. Or cheaper than building your 4th deck is cheaper than your 3rd one. If we hit a land here, we could be okay. This is a 6/6. Go. The number I've heard from a lot of people is that $100 gets you one complete deck regardless of what it is most of the time. Do you think Spark Double will find its way into Amulet Titan? No, I don't think so, Funk Warder. I'm not sure why that card would be appealing. This is a really aggressive line. I kind of like it, though. So this does 4 to my guy, but I get to eat their Anarchist here now. So I guess they're, like, trading this for 5 points of damage and a Scry, which is, like, not unreasonable. Oh, look at it prioritize the Unclaimed Territory. Did you see that, chat? Did you see it prioritize the Unclaimed Territory? Can we pour one out for this island again, though? This flipping island. It's out to get me. Hey, Underblix, thanks for the 6-month resub. Welcome back. I appreciate you keeping me around. What are the odds I die if I don't block this? They can have Collision Colossus here. If they have Collision Colossus, I'm kind of dead regardless, though, right? If I block here and they Collision Colossus, well, they can have Giant Growth. Are these the best blocks against Giant Growth? No, these are the best blocks against Giant Growth. Alright, I'm gonna do this. Oh, this block is bad against Colossus, though. Oh, I guess it's not. I would have died otherwise, right? If I don't block there, I die. So yeah, those blocks were good. The 6 land there actually okay, because it lets us still cast Ghalta. Dead to a variety of things here, though, for sure. Can't attack. We're kind of stabilized. Like, the top of our deck's probably a little bit better here, but not by that much. The fact that I have this dead Spell Pierce really sucks. I'm not playing around Collision Colossus. I'm just going to try and close this game out. So, neither of these have Trample. I'm going to attack for 12 here, play my Chump Blocker, and hope to get to untap. This does leave me dead to the deal 4 damage spell, but... I'm dead to Collision Colossus regardless of how I block here. Yeah, and I think it's right to make them have that there. Like, obviously, I could draw... Like, obviously, like, leaving things... Actually, I'm dead to this regardless, right? No, that's not true, because I would have... Yeah, I think it's right to make them have it. They've already played one, and, like, every turn they draw, they could just, like, have another haste threat or something like that. That was a close game. I don't know. Overall, so, like, I think this blue splash in the Stompy deck is, like, slightly better than the mono green deck, but I don't think I'm a big fan. I don't think I'm a big fan of the Stompy archetype in general. I think it's just like not having removal in your deck's a little bit awkward right now. I think if I wanted to play a Frilled Mystic deck, I'd rather play one of the Bant variations, like Harlan Fear top 8 did, the open with this past weekend. So I think if I was looking to be as competitive as possible, I would not play a Stompy deck. But if I was looking to play a Stompy deck as an archetype specific, it would definitely be this blue splash. Let me update the latest version. Let's not missing sideboard cards before we move along. How are Hadana's Climbs decks doing? We tried a variation of those in this new format. It did not seem particularly good.